Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to today's podcast. I'm Andrew from 345 Technology, and I'm with David Rimar, who's a junior consultant with us. He started this year, and today we're going to be talking about what it's like to be starting a career in tech and all the things around that. So, David, welcome to the podcast. Lovely to be talking to you.
Hello, lovely to talk to you too.
So let's just start off by just asking the very, very simple question: how did you come to choose a career in tech?
Yeah, it's a simple question. It's probably wasn't a simple path for me. I think it was a little bit more intricate than for most of the people. Um, Especially what comes to my mind is that at high school, in every class, you usually have those one or one or two IT nerds who
Yeah,
play video games all day, and they are not really good at literature or history or any other subject except IT, but at least
yeah,
they are good at programming. So in many
yeah.
ways, even though they struggle with other subjects, at least they have one direction. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, I wasn't that guy at high school,
Do you know
and
what?
I wasn't
Neither was I. But
never really interested in programming
yeah,
until about I was 24. And by then, I had already graduated from economics. I still hadn't taken a single programming course during those undergrad years.
so that's a really,
And
really unusual routine, isn't it? Yeah,
yeah,
carry
I would
carry on.
say so.
Yeah, carry on, carry on.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what goals I had in mind. I remember for some time I wanted to become an actuary because that involved maths
Mhm.
and predictions and modeling, and that was quite appealing to me at the time, but that didn't quite come off. So then I was just looking for alternatives. And the turning point really was when I started my master's degree in data science. And I just thoroughly enjoyed all the courses. I got an introduction into data science, machine learning, a bit of web development, a bit of network security, and most importantly, the fundamentals of software engineering.
Yeah,
And that was the bit I enjoyed the most. So even though I went to do a master's in data science, along the way I realized that software is something I enjoy even more. So then I decided to focus on C Sharp and the .NET stack. Here I
yeah. So
am.
yeah, so here you are. No, that's great stuff. So presumably doing data science, you'd have what were you doing in that? Python or something like that to get started in that?
Yes, obviously Python is the main language, but
Yeah,
you can do so many things with Python, and
and
data science is so broad that you obviously have to find your niche and what you want to focus on. And I guess I never managed to find what I want to do within data science.
and so you're doing data science, and then you suddenly find that it's actually the programming part of data science that's the bit you really like, and then you kind of think, well, this is what I want to do. So it's so now you've kind of found that like that software engineering thing is the thing you like to do. I mean, what is it that where is it you want to go in your career? What are the kind of what are the kind of big things you're kind of looking for in the future? What are the main things you want to kind of achieve?
I guess I like to think sort of short term, medium term always,
Hmm.
because um, I don't think you can plan 5, 10 years ahead. I mean, you can always plan, but I don't think it's going to go that way. It's There's gonna be a deviation always, and it's always comes down to your experience.
Uh-huh.
And as you evolve and you learn new things, you realize that you like something else. So therefore, I just wanted to get real experience in C#.NET, and therefore that was my goal after my degree.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because I mean it's the same sort of individually, but it's also the same for businesses as well. You can't plan for 10 years, but at least you can kind of set a general direction. So you kind of
Yes.
know that I'm heading in this direction. But it's difficult to plan more than 3 years. But at least you can kind of know the direction you're going in. So so I suppose for
Yeah.
you the general direction is just being good at software engineering,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and then seeing where it goes from there.
Yeah, especially that it took me a long time to actually find something I really enjoy. And
Hmm.
now that I'm quite happy where I am now. I enjoy
Oh,
working with
good.
C Sharp. Uh, let's say broadly speaking, API
Yeah.
development, and I'm really in a team with experienced software developers who are genuinely keen to pass on as much knowledge as they can. So really, my goal is to learn as much as I can from them. Yeah.
Okay, that's great stuff. So having started out with, because like data science, they teach you Python. Python is the on-ramp for a lot of people into programming. I mean, my
Mhm.
kids, when they were doing programming at school, they did, they Python was the first thing they were given to learn as programming.
Mhm.
And then you kind of went to C Sharp, and you kind of using like that kind of Microsoft stack of, .NET, C Sharp, and all that sort of thing. So what made you choose that to work on, that stack?
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit hard to explain, but when you start out with Python, I think there's not much structure to your learning.
Hmm.
And whereas with object-oriented programming, I think it gives more structure to what you are doing when you develop an application in C Sharp. Say you are adopting an onion architecture when you are developing an app.
Hmm.
And since I was always obsessed with organization, and I like to logically segregate classes and interfaces and applying solid principles, software development was just naturally a better direction.
Hmm.
It is, of course, not to say that you can do OOP using Python, but I think when people start to learn Python, they are not taught in a OOP way,
Hmm.
and therefore it's just all a bit disorganized. And as I said, just data science and Python, there's so many things you can do with Python that you don't know which direction to take.
Yeah. And a lot of people just start off by making one script that's hundreds and hundreds of lines long. And
Exactly, just one Jupyter notebook and
yeah. Whereas I know what you mean, that with C Sharp, you can go and write one file that's hundreds and hundreds of lines long, but you've kind of got to fight against it to do that. You've got to be
yeah,
willfully disobedient to program like that in C Sharp, whereas in Python it kind of it's like fill your boots, do whatever you
yes,
want. So
that's what I mean.
th-
Yeah.
there is that. Um, so I mean, you've come to work with us this year. I mean, how did you go about um, finding the right place to work for you? What was your thought process about that?
And generally, I was looking for 3 or 4 aspects or factors. And obviously, one of them was the right tech stack. Um, it was important that I came out of university with a data science background, so I could have applied to any kind of data science or
Hmm.
front end roles, but that wouldn't have been efficient, and I made my choice with C Sharp and .NET. So then it was that technology stack or nothing else.
Hmm.
Secondly, I was obviously looking for learning opportunities, a company that really supports training, and 345 definitely tick the box there. Um, because 345 is a Microsoft partner, it's very important to get the Azure cert qualifications, and just learning for these is absolutely in line with my interest, and it's great that I'm able to do that.
Hmm.
Another things that I was looking for is just people, generally, to have an approachable atmosphere within the company was important. And also as a junior developer, I knew that I'm going to need a degree of mentoring. So having people around me who are really passionate about teaching you is probably the most valuable thing for me. So I'm massively grateful for that. Yeah.
Oh, super. Because one of the things to say about that is, I mean, what you were looking for, I imagine a lot of people in the same position as you would be looking for that. And as a as a growing tech company, obviously we're trying to always create an environment where people can learn and there's interesting project work. And I imagine most companies promise that. So I suppose the thing is, it's like everyone sort of would promise that, yeah, we've got really interesting work. Yeah, we've got great learning. Yeah, we've got a great culture. How do you, but obviously you as a, when you're looking for an employee and that sort of thing, you've got to kind of do your own research and evaluate it. So how do you go about actually testing to see whether what's behind the promises?
Yeah, as you say, it's not easy to evaluate these things in advance because every company will tell you that they invest in learning and development, but you often realize when you often only realize when you get there and start the job. So for me, I think what helped me evaluate this was just talking to yourself and one of the senior developers during the recruitment process. And the senior developer I spoke to had a really practical approach to judge where I am in each knowledge areas. And I really got the impression that he would personally take care of upskilling me, and that really bought me then. Because from that moment on, I had no doubts that I will be having the right support. And as you say, one of the key messages that came across when speaking to yourself and the senior developer during the recruitment process was that the company cares about the quality of work delivered to the client, and you are serious about striking a balance between delivering projects for profit reasons and making sure that the project we do as developers is the right project and is challenging enough and you enjoy working on it.
Yeah, because I mean, one of the ways we talk about that is that we want to be able to do work that we're proud of, isn't
Yes.
it? And which means that you have to deliver, but you have to deliver something good. Otherwise, it's how are you going to be proud of it? So yeah, it's something that because I think all of us that, well, myself and my colleagues Paul and James who founded the company, we all come from, we were all developers. We were all in your shoes once upon a time, and we know exactly what it means to want to do interesting work and to learn. So we still haven't forgotten that. hopefully that still comes across. So we also talked about the sort of the approachable people and that sort of thing. And you mentioned about the fact that you'd spoken to me and one of my colleagues. I mean, what's again? It's like culture's a really difficult thing to assess until you're in it. So have you got any other have you got any other thoughts about how different companies communicate their culture and even whether they talk about it or whether they don't? I mean, what's it like talking to companies about culture when you're an applicant?
I have to say it's really difficult because they all have kind of similar values and value propositions. And I think just reading the 345 website, it was really specific. And I really like the fact that Kim, the marketing director, examples of things that we love doing and the things that we will never do. And that kind of communication is unique, I think, to 345, because many times I feel like when I read the values of a company, and they are so generic that they don't make sense, and therefore it was nice to actually read these examples by what do you actually mean by doing the right thing. Yeah, so absolutely that's
yeah. So it's because it's.
yeah.
I mean, I know what you mean that there are. I mean, first of all, a lot of companies put values on their website of the values they think they should have, rather than the ones that they do. But also, it's a lot of them. Yeah, if they just put one word down, it actually doesn't really describe the behaviour that you want to
Exactly.
do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, because one of our values is we do things properly, and it's like, well, okay, what does that mean? It means it's attention to detail, and it's making sure that we're always striving for the best quality, and those sort of things. You've got to actually describe the behaviours. You can't just sort of
Exactly. That's what I meant.
throw
Yeah.
a word out. Yeah, because otherwise, how are people going to know? It's just like a bunch of words, isn't it? Unless you actually sort of say the things that it actually means and sit behind it, then that's, like I say, you've got to kind of give it, make it come to life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So one of the other things that I'm really interested in finding out your thoughts on, and that is that, I mean, as a company, we're based in Winchester. You're in Scotland.
Yes.
And so and this is the modern world. We've got hybrid working. A lot of people are remote, or a lot of people we don't see. We see you, well, hopefully every 3 months or so, when we get everyone together. But one of the things I've always worried about is that if you have kind of this hybrid and very kind of largely remote culture, is how do you actually keep, well, first of all, how do you kind of make sure you're still building culture remotely, but also how do you make people feel like they're still feel like they're included in the company if everything's, if you just sat at home on your own. So have you got any thoughts about about that? And because obviously this, you're doing this by choice, but how do you feel about that whole remote working versus being involved in the company culture, and how that works?
Yeah, I think the culture I feel is shaped by the behavior of my colleagues who I work with every day. And yeah, I feel that everyone is really approachable, but at the same time, really switched on and focused. There's no time wasting. And do our best in a way that's not only good for the client, but we are also satisfied with it. So that's I think the key for me, what I feel, and it just comes from the colleagues you work with and the way they work.
And do you think and
so that's on a day-to-day basis,
yeah,
I would say.
yeah, because on a day-to-day basis, I mean, obviously we have the sort of the agile ceremonies of daily stand-ups and all that sort of things, so you get the touch points. But some people feel that when you're when you're working remotely, it's they almost feel like they don't want to pick up the phone or pick up the Teams call and interrupt people, because it's in a way that you used to just lean over to the person at the next desk and say, how about XYZ. So do you still feel that the tools that we have, such as chat and back that up with things, that those actually work well enough?
Yes, I think so. Obviously, it helps to having met all the people at the company face to face. So it's a great idea to have the quarterly face to face meetings. So you get the chance to talk to each other and just feel more connected. and therefore you can just because you know the person, you've seen the person face to face, it's easier to ping a message on Teams and have a call. But I've never had a problem with ability when it comes to asking questions from colleagues, even people who are not on the same project. Always got
So that's all working okay. So one of the things, and this is a slightly wider thing and a slightly different thing, and it kind of applies to all people that are in the early stages of their career. But one of the things that really benefits you in your career is building a network, and one of the things that I genuinely would like to be able to still allow you to do is to still build a professional network. And I don't know how easy that is I don't know if that's easier, harder, no different in a remote world, but just the fact that you get to kind of meet lots of other people. It's how do you feel about how you're starting to build a network of people that you can get in touch with in the future if you need to get an answer from someone or something like that?
Yeah, good question. I don't really have specific thoughts on it. I think it works pretty well when it comes to, I think it works the same way as if I was sitting side by side to someone else in the office. You see, you would know the person a bit more personally, but yeah.
Okay, that's fine. And just still on this before we kind of move on from the hybrid working thing. So now that you're working, mostly remotely, occasionally coming down to see us and that sort of thing, do you ever think you'll go to work in an office full time? How do you think work is going to be in the next 10, 20 years? I mean, how's it? What are your thoughts on that?
Direction is that more and more companies will be doing remotely or adopting a hybrid approach, and I think that's already a trend, and it's going to be a trend in the future. Personally, I feel more productive working from home. I have nothing particularly against the office environment, and there's that social element that I sometimes miss. But from the other side, there's much less distraction. And there's much less distraction at home than in the office, I find. Whereas, as I said, it's nice to have quarterly face-to-face meetings.
Yeah. So that might change if you suddenly find you've got 2 kids at home. you might suddenly find there's a lot of distractions at home as well. But
that's true. Yeah.
So it's different for different people. Some people find it really hard to work at home because their home life is so noisy. But it's you're lucky that you've got you're lucky you've got a peaceful home life. I'll say there.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about the kids, but if I had kids, then probably I would escape to the office as soon as I can. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe offices aren't dead yet, but yeah, I mean we've got. I mean, as you know, you've been into the office multiple times, but we've got whatever it is, 30 people in the company, and we've got an office that's for 8. So it's not. We don't need to have all the people there all the time, but it's good to have somewhere where people can go. But it's just find that right balance between these things. So okay, so let's move on from hybrid working because we've kind of done that one. But okay, you've been with us for for quite a big chunk of this year now. So what would you say to someone that was a potential new starter, or someone looking to find a new company about? I mean, what have you learned? What could you pass on as advice to someone that's looking for a similar role to you now?
Yeah, I guess my advice is more relevant to sort of junior, mid-level developers. But I think if you are someone who learns proactively, but still having smart people around you is important as a way of self-verification,
Mm-hmm.
then 345 is a great place for you. And well, what I really mean here is that as a junior developer, for me, it was important to learn things the right way from the start. And I think if you are looking for that and you are ready to listen and observe how the more senior developers do things, then the people here at 345 will help you learn best practices because they do care about it. Yeah, and I think another advice would be that when you work here, just be prepared to ask questions and don't be afraid to ask questions because people here do like questions. But
Yeah,
then
yeah,
when you do take when you get the answers, also take notes of them because that's something then that you can refer back to, and that's gonna come very helpful the next time you do something similar. And with that, you'll become more and more independent and knowledgeable, and that progress is amazing to experience. Yeah.
yeah. Because, like I say, there's no such thing as a stupid question, and I kind of agree with that. But I know what you mean, that the only stupid question is one that you've already asked before and had the answer to.
Yes, that's why you have to take
then
notes.
and that's why you take the notes, because if you ask it again, then it's a stupid question. But yeah, so no, that's good stuff. So I just want to drill a little bit, just a little bit into the mentoring thing, really, because there's kind of a couple of things really that, I think when you're when you're kind of in the junior roles and you're just starting your career, I think mentoring is very important. And um, how how do you find is the best way to get mentored? Is it to have like a formal catch up with, have a mentor that's assigned to you and have a formal catch up, or do you find it's just more of a natural ongoing kind of process?
Yeah, good question. I think it's more like a natural thing. It depends on, yeah, I guess it depends on the who is your mentor, but I think that I'm quite independent, in the sense that I always try to do a little bit of Googling and research before I go and ask a question. And therefore, I always have a base um, from where I can actually do stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of, yeah.
So instead
But
of saying, what can I do, you're saying,
exactly,
I've got option A, B, and C.
exactly, yeah,
Which, let's talk about the pros and cons of each one. That's a more productive conversation, then, isn't it?
absolutely. So that's the way I've been working with my mentor, I could say. Um, and yeah, the way I've been really treated is that my mentor knows kind of my level, and he's trying to push me to think on my own and come up with solutions on my own. So he's not going to tell me the answer right away,
Yeah.
and I pretty much enjoy that. That it feels like a boot camp every day,
Yeah.
like a developer boot camp every day, because I'm given a task and
You got to go figure it out.
come up with solutions. Yeah. And if I'm really deviating from the right path, then then I'm corrected.
Yeah, that's good.
That's the way it works, really. Yeah.
So I mean, just kind of looking at that from a sort of a slightly wider point of view. I mean, I think again earlier on, you're kind of looking for kind of mentor kind of relationship where people will guide you, but then as you kind of as you kind of mature into the role, it becomes much more about peer group, and so you then because a lot of we've got a lot of senior people in the business, people a lot of experience, but what they're looking for is people on their level that they can share ideas with, because it's no matter how senior you are, you want people on your level that you can share ideas with, because no one ever has all the answers, and it's
Exactly. Yeah.
so it's I'm kind of interested to see how certainly see how you develop from that kind of from the mentoring and mentor and mentee relationship through to just just like a peer group kind of relationship, because you still need other people no matter where you are
Yes.
in your career. You still need other
Yeah.
people to bounce ideas off, and it's and having a good peer group is a really valuable thing. So
It is
yeah, I'm interested to
absolutely.
see how that goes. So I think we're getting towards the end of our allotted time. So I just wanted to sort of ask if you've got any other thoughts you'd like to share on on careers in general, careers in IT, anything like that that might be useful for other people watching this.
Um, yeah, if you are a junior and interested in programming, I would say take your time to explore different areas in IT, let's say front end, back end, data science. Um, Spend 2 months on each of the areas and see which one you like the most,
Hmm.
and then make a decision where you're gonna go, because you can't be a data scientist, a software engineer, a front end and a back end wizard. You're gonna have to make a decision, and it's good to make an informed decision about it. Yeah, that would be my advice to any junior who's just
Yeah,
going blindly for data science because that's the trend.
yeah.
Yeah, really,
Because
that's my
yes,
advice.
no, that really makes sense, because you don't know whether you like them or not until you've tried them, and so yeah, just got to give them
Yes.
a go. That's absolutely brilliant. So um, David, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on the podcast. Great insights there. Thanks very much for taking part, and thanks for everyone for showing up and watching. So we'll catch you all next time, and thanks again for watching. Okay, bye now.
Bye.